It's often said that, unlike in the movies, real heroes don't wear capes. And Babita Deokaran was certainly heroic.
Despite the obvious danger, she was steadfast in trying to uncover the rampant fraud and corruption at Gauteng's 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗆 hospital. The details of what she found and how the system utterly failed her are truly shocking.
Nine shots in broad daylight. Babita Deokaran stood no chance. She red-flagged procurement irregularities at the Gauteng Department of Health, and within 3 weeks, she was murdered.
The risks of speaking out and exposing deep-rooted corruption are clear. But when threats turn into actions, the consequences can be severe, because those at risk of being exposed want whistleblowers silenced.
As the Chief Director for Finance at Gauteng's Department of Health, Babita Deokaran was a critical witness in corruption investigations for more than a decade.
It is so fresh in our memories, the hurt and the pain that we felt then as a family. We still feel that now, a year gone on.
3 days after being gunned down, 6 hitmen were arrested. But on the anniversary of her death, as family, friends and civic justice organizations gathered to celebrate Babita Deokaran's life, there are still many unanswered questions around her murder. 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗆𝗺 is the family spokesperson.
She didn't tell us in detail what she was really involved in or what she really faced, you know. We saw that she was tense. She kept that away from us. Work had to be work and family was family.
A year later, and we still don't know who the paymasters behind her hit were. But retracing her last steps before her murder, you quickly realize there were 850 million reasons for Babita Deokaran to die.
3 weeks before Deokaran's assassination, she filed a report on 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗆 Hospital in Gauteng, flagging 1,203 purchase orders, all coming in under 500,000 rand. It totaled 850 million rand in possibly fraudulent transactions that were submitted in just 4 months.
What it appears to be, on the face of it, is an extraction network. Money flying out of that hospital at a rate of knots.
Over the last 6 months, a News 24 team led by investigative journalist 𝗀𝗫𝗃𝗀𝗃 waded through over 60,000 of Deokaran's emails and cell phone data, getting a vivid view of the last month of her life.
So I've never worked on a project of this scale before. Everything from Google searches to who she was talking to. This was her final graft investigation.
12 days before she was taken out, Deokaran sent the following message to her boss, Gauteng Health Department CFO, 𝗀𝗲𝗽𝗁𝗀.
I'm just worried that the guys in 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗆 are going to realize we are not releasing their payments. Our lives could be in danger.
Majo indicated the report was escalated to the head of department, but that never happened.
So your investigation proves that the CFO lied?
We questioned the then HOD, and she categorically denies that 𝗀𝗲𝗽𝗁𝗀 ever formally escalated the report or Babita's concerns about her safety. In fact, the first time she learned about Babita's safety concerns was on the day of her death.
Deokaran lived her last days with a false sense of security.
It hurts us to know that our loved one died, believing that there was safety and protection and something happening to take care of her.
Majo declined our request for an interview. She referred us to the Gauteng Department of Health, that in turn replied in writing, stating they are finalizing the appointment of an independent forensic investigator, taking internal steps to address the flagged issues, and promised decisive action will be taken. But this only comes now, a year later, in the wake of the News 24 series. Alex van den Heever is from Wits University School of Governance. He is clear there needs to be criminal consequences, and a forensic investigation is not the answer.
It's basically not a police investigation. Any reasonable supply chain management structure would pick this up. And that suggests that basically everybody within the system is either too scared or they are complicit.
Deokaran flagged 217 businesses before her investigation was brutally cut short. Picking up where she left off, 𝗬𝗧𝗍 scrutinized at least 45 of those. Many are nothing more than paper companies seemingly geared to extract money through government contracts. The team covered thousands of kilometers across the province in search of these companies and possibly some answers.
We've travelled to townships, to upmarket areas where these businesses are supposedly located, and we haven't been able to find a single office. If someone had only looked when she warned them, they would have found the same thing.
We took a drive to one of these so-called companies in the small town of 𝗦𝗲𝗽, south of Johannesburg.
So this is the supposed business address of one of the companies that build millions of rand through contacts from 𝗬𝗵𝗴𝗶𝗴𝗶 hospital.
This company built millions of rands.
That's what they'd have us believe. I mean, if you look at the cie_PC data, this address is active, and in theory, a company that sells and stocks medical supplies should operate from here. But the reality is somewhat different.
The company is 𝗬𝗍𝗍's, and its director is 𝗬𝗍𝗍𝗶𝗴𝗶. He controls 5 companies that scooped more than 17 million rand from just 39 separate transactions.
With due diligence seemingly lacking in government procurement, paper companies have coined millions of rands, only for directors to then conveniently disappear without a trace.
We tried contacting 𝗬𝗍𝗍𝗶𝗴𝗶, but he appears to have dropped off the radar.
The number you have dialed does not exist. Please redial carefully.
And that's the thing about paper companies. They disappear as quickly as they were formed.
I'm at the point where I don't expect to find anything. But I think it's important for us to really see this through to the end, and we've got no intention of stopping.
𝗬𝗧𝗍𝗶𝗴𝗶 has uncovered blatant, brazen graft at 𝗬𝗵𝗴𝗶𝗴 Hospital, with orders pushed through for anything from medical supplies to wingback leather chairs and even skinny jeans, although government claims that was a typo. The payments get even more suspicious when you realize that the transactions flagged by Deokaran all come in under 500,000 rand.
And that's a red flag, because any amount above that requires a much more rigorous procurement process. Below 500,000 rand is within the CEO's delegation of authority.
Deokaran, sitting at a central level within the department, was able to pick this up, but somehow the hospital wasn't.
It's very easy to pick up the patterns, because you'll have one individual who's a director of 5 companies. She could never have known that at the time, because she didn't have the space and the opportunity to investigate further before she was murdered.
She was silenced.
She's been silenced for a year, and it's only on the back of our reporting that something seems to be being done about this.
Of the 217 companies flagged by Deokaran, Kaizen Projects was one of the first she identified. It's owned by Sello Sekoko. He is the recently elected Treasurer General of the ANC in Ekurhuleni. 𝗬𝗧𝗍𝗶𝗴𝗶 discovered that he also owns 2 other companies, Nokokoko and Bolanoto Security and Projects. All 3 businesses supplied 𝗬𝗵𝗴𝗶𝗴𝗶 Hospital at the same time. For the record, as it stands, Sekoko is not a murder suspect, and he insists there's nothing dodgy about his companies. He's been doing business with government departments for years and has no idea why his companies were flagged.
None of your purchase orders exceed 500,000 rand. Some may call that suspicious. Is that a coincidence?
It's up to supply chain in the institution to either reject or go with us. I can't say because of it's less than 500, then maybe there's a suspicion that I was doing wrong things.
Sekoko claims he's just like any other person submitting quotes and doesn't know either the provincial CFO, Lerato Majo, or the hospital CEO, Dr. Ashley Mthunzi.
You're the Treasurer General of the ANC in Ekurhuleni. That comes with power, it comes with influence, and it comes with connections.
I dispute the fact that a person is connected because he's the treasurer of the ANC.
Really?
No, it doesn't come with power.
Doesn't come with influence?
No.
Doesn't come with connections? So
it just comes with responsibility that I'm given by the ANC comrades or ANC members in Ekurhuleni.
But against the backdrop of state capture, it's hard to accept that answer.
We were told that it was a coincidence that all his invoices were under 500,000 rand.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence. I mean, statistically, that's not what would happen. The first and foremost is, why is the hospital permitting them?
Questionable pricing is also an instant red flag. 𝗀𝗃𝗃 quoted 3,900 Rand for a single head block and 2,106 Rand for a cervical collar. A quick costing exercise revealed shocking pricing discrepancies on these pharmaceutical supplies. A head block goes for 814 Rand and 20 cents, while a top-of-the-range cervical collar is 147 Rand and 80 cents. We put our findings to 𝗀𝗃𝗃.
No, you see, you are an asset, and I think I need to have your contacts so that next time I do an invoice, I do a quote, I say to you, I need 1, 2, 3, can you get it for me? We are not getting these products. And if we are not getting these products, what must we do? We have not overcharged.
You have?
No, we haven't.
Interestingly, Tembisa Hospital CEO Dr. Ashley Mthunzi signed off on most of the suspicious invoices.
Can the Tembisa Hospital CEO perhaps claim ignorance?
That would be equally as damaging for him, because this expenditure, according to our evidence, happened under his watch. So at best, he's incompetent, and at worst, he's culpable.
While Dr. Mthunzi declined an interview, he was suspended alongside Provincial CFO 𝗬𝗏𝗪𝗀𝗪 last week as a special investigating unit moves forward with the case, a move that's long overdue.
Babita Deokaran did everything right. She picked up an anomaly, she reported it, and she expected that something would be done. In fact, nothing was done, and she was murdered. And that's the great tragedy of this story.
Seeing wrongdoing and looking the other way was never in Babita Deokaran's nature.
She died doing her job with integrity and diligently. She stood for the truth, and she would not compromise. Our entire lives have been shaken and changed. We'll never be the same again because she is no more. So whilst we are paying the price as a family, the mastermind out there is still at large.
Arresting the alleged hitman is simply not good enough.
Province, another 5 can be hired for the next whistleblower. The end game for these hospitals in this investigation is that the key public sector people in public office responsible for this network need to go to jail.
But that would be up to the authorities.
At the end of the day, we're journalists. We come into information, we verify it, and we publish it. We're not the SIU or the police, and we're just making sure that everything that had been kept in the shadows is now in the light.
Thanks for watching. Why not drop us a comment below? We love reading your opinions. Remember, you can now access Carte Blanche stories anytime, anywhere, even offline. Carte Blanche, the podcast, is now available on all major podcast platforms, so be sure to hit that follow or subscribe button and be part of our growing online family.